All right, what's going on, everybody? KB Card Stacks here, and I just pulled up to the Front Row Card Show. It is day 2 of the show. Starts at 11. It's about 11 right now. I'm usually a day 1. As soon as the doors open, that's when I like to go to a show. So I've never really been to a show on the last day, and so we'll see what it's all about. Maybe that gets us more deals. I don't know. Maybe it's more Pokemon heavy. I know Front Row has been very Pokemon heavy in the past, and with this boom that we're seeing, who knows what will happen. But I'm ready to go inside. I was at a wedding last night. I am unwell, but I had to come today. I want to see my friends at ComC. I've got about 150 cards that I'm going to drop off with them. They're having a little live submission special. So let's go inside. We got to get tickets, see what kind of deals we can find, drop off some cards with ComC, and then we'll recap all the pickups at the end. All right, so this is the Front Row Card Show of Phoenix. This is like West Phoenix. It was advertised as 275 tables, I think maybe 300. That was probably about right. It's a pretty big venue. Good amount of traffic, I would say, for Sunday, day 2. I talked to a couple of vendors, and they said that yesterday was pretty solid, pretty busy throughout the day. So just grabbing some overhead shots here because let me tell you, there were not a lot of sports tables at this show. This table right here, one of the very few with modern sports, and honestly, looking back at it, probably one of the better tables, I would say, just because it's got some of the newest Prism. So that's really all I would really be interested in. One of the few deals I made came from this table, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, pretty rough. And so this is my friend Richard's table. He does 3D printing, and I just wanted to show him some love and get some footage because, again, there was not a lot going on at this show. But hit up Richie, throw his Instagram up if you're interested in any 3D prints. That was pretty rough. That was like 90% Pokemon. Pretty crazy. This is like my second time I've been to this show out of like the 3 or 4, and it's been pretty consistent. I don't know if I'll be back, just not for me. Nothing against Pokemon, but just it's a lot of not sports cards there. So it is what it is. We'll go home. I picked up 4 cards. I spent under 60 bucks. I guess I paid 15 to get in, so almost $80 all in. But I'll just go home, show you what I picked up. Gonna be a pretty quick video. All right, so it is Monday now, day after the show. Again, just I thought about it more. I tweeted about it. I posted about it on Instagram, and a lot of people felt the same way that I did, which made me feel a little bit better, I guess, about just the way I was feeling. I'm like, maybe I'm just, out of touch here, or out of line. But yeah, it seems like everyone that I know, they were like, this was a waste of time. Like, it's 90% Pokemon. Just make it a TCG show and call it for what it is. Because a lot of I'd say there was one modern table for every 5 or 6 Pokemon, and then maybe even more vintage than there was modern. And the thing is, we had our big state show back in March. All those same people were basically, if you were a modern, all the modern tables at this last show were probably at the state show or set up at any other show. So it's just, it is what it is. But nonetheless, let's talk about what I picked up. I spent, I don't know, a little under 60 bucks at the show. This is what I got. Spencer Rattler, Prism Silver. Again, this was like halfway through the show where I'm like, dude, there's one card that I was interested in. It was an Ashen Genti Green Lava. And I was like, you know what? It was stickered at 50, probably a little high. Some were going auctions everywhere. So decided to pass on that. But there were just not a lot of cards that I would even like picked up and been like, I'd be interested in this. So Spencer Rattler, $15 price tag. They're probably about $12 shipped at this point. A Brian Thomas Jr. This is a guy I was 100%, 200% wrong on this guy. I was like, man, this guy has never seen a number 1 corner in his life. Who was the other? Malik Neighbors was the guy. Brian Thomas had no production his first 3 years, and then suddenly booms. Led the nation in scoring as a senior with like 18, something ridiculous. So just, yeah, I was way wrong, and I was like, this guy, he's a go ball merchant, and I don't see any sort of route tree. Didn't see it at all, and he was like top 5 in receiving. So when I saw this, and I've been thinking about him, like Marvin Harrison and like Ladd McConkey, like they were like top, not Marvin, but like Neighbors, Thomas, and McConkey were like top 10, 12, 15 in receiving as rookies. I was kind of shocked to see that their Prism Silver is like 10 to 15 bucks. So I've always looked at it on ComC. I saw it at the show this time, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy it. Brian Thomas. I just feel like these are like $20, $25 cards with like Brock Bowers, I think is like above 50. And I'm like, Brock Bowers is cool. I get it. He was one of the best players in college football. I vouch for him. But like, is he that much better than the Brian Thomas Malik? Is he 6 times? For me, it's always a value perspective. Is he 6 times better than a Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Lad McConkey? Not to me. I love him, but no. So that was 15, and then this Spencer Rattler, I don't know what that auto is. It's on some sort of, I don't know what it is, but $15. And then, I mean, yeah, to add, not insult to injury, but sticker to 45, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm interested in these 3. Would you do 40 on them? And he says, I'd do 42. Out of principle, honestly, I probably should have been like, nope, all good, man. Like, you know, like, haggling over $2, man, I just, whatever. But I needed to make a play at the show. I don't know, man. And then this was the other one that I picked up, Jada Maeva. I'm not a huge Jada Maeva guy. He was fine at UNLV. Started towards the tail end of the season. Was it Miller Moss's fault for whatever their issues were at USC last year? I don't particularly think so. I think there were just some bad decisions and some rough games, like the Michigan game per se. But I don't know. We'll see what he does. He had a rough game versus Notre Dame, although, you know, look at what Notre Dame ended up doing, although that was still the end of the season. But did not look okay. He looked better than Marcel Reed in the bowl game, but I would still take Marcel Reed over him, and I'm not super high on Marcel Reed, at least from a price perspective. Like, Marcel Reed's base autos and, like, very high for, I think, where he is in, like, the card market and just his talent and where he is. Huge upside. Same with Maeva, I guess. Very similar in pricing to us to a degree, but this was a $5 off bin, so it was 15 in a one touch. I don't know, numbered Maeva. You could probably list this for 25, send it to ComC, and that was pretty much my thought there. So that was all I got at the Front Row Card Show. Pretty disappointing. So I did also go to a card show on Saturday, the VIP Sports Card Show. Now that show is my favorite show in the Valley, monthly show, the first Saturday of the month, every month. Took my nephew. There were surprisingly a lot of Pokemon there. You would think they were all at front row just because that has been predominantly Pokemon. But I wasn't expecting to buy anything really. But we were there. We were having a good time. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, he's very nervous. He's very nervous. He was definitely overstimulated. He does have autism, so very shy and like doesn't you really have to kind of help him, you know, open up and not feel as overwhelmed. So I was, you know, talking to the vendors and buying some stuff. So got these for $15 total. I thought it was okay. I would get the celebrations. I like kind of the hollow speckle to them. So I'll have to get the Charizard, which I asked the guy and he's like, it's probably like 90 to 100. And I was like, so I don't know about that. But and then Flygon, this was $1 in somebody's binder, and I was like, my nephew's name is Cash, and I was like, Cash, you don't know about Flygon, man. He came in the Sword and Shield era, but Flygon, one of my favorite Pokemon for sure. Pokemon Ruby was one of probably my most played video game of all time. Me and my neighbor Steven would always play. He had Sapphire, and Flygon was like, I mean, all the pseudos like Dragonite and all them, like you had to have them in your party. And this was kind of my big purchase of the day. It was cute, and I thought it was a good deal. $50 for the PSA 10. That's about market, but again, look how cute he looks. Cute little guy. So PSA 10, Charmander. He's the lizard, right? So just thought it was a cool card. He's so happy. So I spent, I don't know, about 120-ish bucks on card shows this weekend. That's what I picked up. So we'll see. We'll see what the next show brings us. I've been trying to grind. I want to get to some shops. That's my move. DNA card shop at some point. We'll see what else. So if you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. We'll see you next one. Peace. Love you. Bye.